for you men to be honest with women from the beginning. I've been battling this for years, crying for years, because I went from a virgin at almost 30 years old to a single mother. And it hurts me because I've been silent for too long. And all I hear people say is they disrespect women and mothers all the time. But they don't never talk about how men lie and deceive women and they don't even want to be with them. I wish I would just be honest with women before the trauma begins. So I went from a virgin to almost 30 years old to a single mom to be in trauma, to be in survival mode. That's what's obsessed me the most. Like I was a good girl my whole life, loyal to people that deceive me the most. And that's what messes me up the most. Like I didn't even have a choice whether or not to be in survival mode. But you men don't care, you just move on to the next. You don't care who you put in survival mode. And y'all not trying to elevate at all. You're not trying to be with any woman. You're not trying to be with the woman that you really want to be with. Because you play games. You all play games for generations to come.
So it's unfortunate that situations like this happen very often, right? But there's one thing about life, right? And we will do a deeper dive in a second. But one thing on life thing I want to say first: life doesn't owe you anything. Doesn't owe you any type of understanding. Doesn't owe you any type of comfort. You waited 30 years, before you had sex, and you get pregnant that first time, and that guy is a piece of shit, right? He does it and he leaves. There was never going to be some sort of guaranteed fairness. With the I thought the whole purpose of waiting was for you to gather and use your discernment to say, I'm doing this at this time when I feel like I'm ready. Whatever the reasons why you decided to have sex at 30, you got pregnant then and there, it's you know the situation. We can grieve and we can be sympathetic for you, we can have empathy, but life was never going to guarantee you anything because you did things, quote unquote, the right way. That's just not how society kind of operates. So before we do, like I said, a deeper dive into this, and I think this is an important topic, and it's been making the rounds, and really wanted to talk more about just this fits perfectly what we talk about on the channel. And of course, we can talk about, like, she needs to choose better. We can get into that, but before that, I want to do something a little more, nuanced, and that's what I hope we do here. But like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss new uploads. YouTube, even if you subscribe to the channel and you're seeing this and you're like, wow, I subscribe to the channel, but I don't see these come up in my feed, got to check the notification bell because YouTube does whatever YouTube says it wants to do. So again, we'll play this back, and there's parts in here that I want to really, pay attention to, focus on.
What I really wish is that for you men to be honest with women from the beginning. I've been battling this for years, crying for years, because I went from a virgin at almost 30 years old to a single mother.
Women experience this at various ages, right? And it happens sometimes for your first time you have sex, you're gonna get pregnant. Some women experience this early, 15, 16, 17. Right? It's unfortunate then. But we kind of look at it and say, it shouldn't happen. Right? We should teach you about protection. We teach you about the consequences of having sex. But as you get older and you're supposed to, gain some wisdom and some sort of experience in there, you can make your own decisions. And we look at you as an adult. We look and say, well, this is a purposeful decision. And you, as an adult, you should be able to accept what the consequences of these things are. The internet is littered with examples of women saying, in fact, there's probably a specific wording for it, how it appears on the internet, how quickly women are always talking about men in this sort of light.
And it hurts me because I've been silent for too long. And all I hear people say is they disrespect women and mothers all the time. But they don't never talk about how men lie and deceive women.
They've talked about that forever. We make movies about it, right? It's common plots in Tubi movies. It's everywhere. Like this is one of those examples, right, where we can both say this is unfortunate, but we can also say you should not. Your reasoning for why you're upset that they never say these things, we can all unequivocally say that's just not true. We constantly talk about men's shortcomings in these areas. And when we say men, we don't give any type of nuance to that. When the conversation is coming the way it is constantly come from a woman's perspective, it's blasted out to all men. All men are responsible for the choices of the worst of us. Men that do something, and this I think is a great example of, you know, we can also say the worst of us, but we can also say we don't really know the other side of the coin. And I know we're not, that's not the usual thing we do when we give men grace like that to say, I would love to hear his side of the story, what he's talking about and why he's no longer in the picture. And when I remember when I first came across this video, I listened to one of her earlier ones and said how she lost her soulmate earlier in life, and it was a sudden sort of departure, sudden sort of end. And I think that kind of helped spiral her into like a depressive state. But again, if we don't know the other side of the coin, we don't know the side of the story, why she decided to, what was the reasons for the celibacy. But the what we do know is you had sex for the first time and you were pregnant. That is a very real thing that happens. It's kind of the purpose of sex. I know we have the pleasure aspect of it, but this is what happens. But to the guy, if we just leave it as face value, yeah, he's not one of the best of us. He's one of the worst of us doing something like this and just dipping. Um, but again, we are, inundated with the same sort of topic over and over again, the same sort of inference, the same examples of men doing women like this dirty. I think there's a negative bias skewed towards that on social media platforms. You see this, you know, you see this commentary go as far as misandry, and it's just kind of accepted. So not knowing as a 30-year-old woman seems kind of foolish at this point. Like using it as a reason why, well, I never knew. They never talk about this. They always talk about this.
And they don't even want to be with them. I wish I would just be honest with women before the trauma begins.
That's fair. And the rebuttal to that is you wouldn't want us if we were honest. Or, the other rebuttal is you're not really prepared for honesty. And we'll look at both of these. One, of course, when they're just lying to say what they have to say and they just call it game. I'm gonna say what I have to say to get the thing I want most from you, and then good luck after that. Like, yeah, that men as men, we should not be doing that, right? That's not that's really not where it is. In the same vein, like if we told you that truth, you wouldn't want to be us, wouldn't be with us. Then there's the other side where men say, yeah, we've tried to be honest with you. We've told you honest things, and then it's the tone in which it's said, the timing of it. It's broken down into all these other things that except sort of just going with the truth. So a lot of men feel like them in a catch all situation. I physically want to be with you, but if I tell you the truth, you're just going to be mad. So it's easy to lie to you, especially if I have no long-term plans with you. And don't shoot the messenger, right? I'm giving out some insight. This is how guys typically think. And so in this case, yeah, it would have been better if someone told her the truth and this is what it is for me. This is why. Hey, I'm only interested in you because of this. And then there are other men that would hear that she's a 28, 29-year-old virgin and become completely excited by that prospect. Completely excited by that prospect. I've never been that sort of guy, but there are plenty of men out there that say the most attractive thing about her is that she's a virgin.
So I went from a virgin to almost 30 years old to a single mom to be in trauma, to be in survival mode That's what's obsessed me the most. Like I was a good girl my whole life, loyal to people that deceive me the most, and that's what messes me up the most.
Being a good girl, being loyal to people does not entitle to you getting good results or loyalty from other people. It should. It should, right? But it doesn't. You know, it's a rough dating game, dating pool to be out there when you don't know how to swim. And maybe yes, you've been out there, you've dated, and that gave you some sort of experience, but it doesn't come across as if someone that is very well versed in how these things go. Using that and blaming other men or blaming the society and saying you don't talk about this, you don't bring this up. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. And because it was your first time and this is what happened, yeah, it's unfortunate, right? Your life quickly became harder. But if we're being responsible, we're saying if you're having sex with anyone, right, whether or not he's of good moral standing, a good moral compass, if he's going to be there or he's not going to be there, you have to have that in mind. Is this person potentially someone that I want to have a child with? Because that's what we're kind of doing, but not, right? Especially if you're the if you guys are not using protection, then it could go that far. Are you ready for those consequences? Those very real world consequences. So there, to be fair, to be real, to be nuanced here, you have to take sort of that bite of accountability as well. Yes, we can see where he's his shortcomings. Yes, he should be there. He should even if you guys are struggling, you should be struggling together. He should be part of this. He's not. But we're always going to have to say, if we're going to call it down the middle, that there's a point in there where you have to be accountable for those you choose. And you being young, you being a virgin, life doesn't give you extra grace. Again, we wish it did, but it's never ever guaranteed that it would do that. Let me know your thoughts. If you see any videos on your screen now, take a look. Let me know what you think too. I'll see you in the next one.